Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf Yomi is MOED KATAN Ches. We are on Yadayim base 4 lines from the bottom. Tanu Rabban, Keshem, She'amru Asur L'galech b'Moed. Just as the Chazal tell us, no haircuts during Chol HaMoed, to ensure that you come into Yom Tov looking dignified. So Keshem She'amru Asur L'galech b'Moed, Kach Asur Litel Tzipornayim b'Moed. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda maintains the same equation applies to cutting nails. One is not meant to do so on Chol HaMoed. This will ensure that he enters Chol HaMoed dignified and properly groomed. Rabbi Yesi Mater, he says it's okay. Long nails, it's not like overloaded with hair on one's head, and that doesn't really pose a concern of nivel, of looking degraded and menuval on Chol HaMoed. You can cut nails on Chol HaMoed, and that's how we pass Kal Maisa. And just as we say that a mourner, an avel, may not cut his hair during his avelus, because long hair is a siman of mourning. It shows that he's paying attention to the mace and not rather than grooming himself. So just as it applies to giluach, it applies to cutting nails as well. Kach asur litel tzipornayim b'mei evloi. Once again, this is Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda maintains long nails are a sign of avelus. Rabbi Yesi Mater, he says cutting nails, that's not restricted when it comes to avelus. Some of Farshim learn it's based on how to learn the pasuk by Eishes Yifas Toyar v'Asasas Tzipornea. So Rabbi Yehuda will learn that Asasas Tzipornea means letting the nails grow. That's a sign of avelus, of mourning, which she's meant to conform to. Rabbi Yesi learns the other way around. Asasas Tzipornea, cutting nails. So perhaps Rabbi Yesi holds long nails is not necessarily a sign of avelus, and therefore an avel may cut his nails. Amar Ula halach Rabbi Yehuda ba'avel. When it comes to avelus, we follow Rabbi Yehuda's stringent view. You have to let nails grow during avelus. V'halach Rabbi Yesi b'Moed. When it comes to Chol HaMoed, we'll make it like Rabbi Yesi. Apparently, it's not really a true expression of nivel, and therefore it's okay to come into Chol HaMoed in this manner. Or as some learn, nails just grow and grow. It's not like a haircut, which is once a month. Nails, you're going to cut them today, you're going to cut them again in a week. So there was no restriction imposed to cutting nails. But avelus, it contravenes the concept of avelus, grooming oneself, looking after one's appearance. By avelus, you withhold. So that's Ula's approach. By Moed, we have a kula. By avelus, we'll machmer. Shmuel Amar, no. Halach Rabbi Yesi b'Moed u ba'avel, whether it comes to Chol HaMoed or avelus. We follow Rabbi Yesi's shita. Cutting nails was never asur. Damar Shmuel. Shmuel is consistent with his statement said elsewhere. He says, halacha kedivrei hamekel ba'avel. When it comes to avelus, it comes to nyanim of sadness, of mourning, where mekel, we always follow the shita hamakila. In this case, we allow netilas tzipornayim, whether it's Chol HaMoed, even by avel, we allow it in accordance with Rabbi Yesi's shita. There was a story involving Pinchas, who was Achva, the brother of Shmuel, Achva the Mar Shmuel. And Shmuel was the one who just told us that one may trim nails during avelus. So Pinchas, his brother, Isra Bey Milsa. Isra Bey Milsa is a term used throughout MOED KATAN to describe a sad event, a tragic event, meaning a relative passes away. He was experiencing avelus. Al Shmuel Lemishal Tamamine. His brother Shmuel comes in. Lemishal Tamamine means L'daber al liboy, Rashi says, to console him, to comfort him, to be menachem avel. Chazin l'tufri, to have an efficient. Shmuel notices Pinchas, his brother's nails, very long. Amalei, he tells him, Amai lo shachlis lu, why don't you trim your nails? Amalei, Pinchas responds, Ibe didei hava. If this was your experience, you were sitting a shiva, how would you take the shiva so lightly? Would you engage in grooming and cutting nails? It's inappropriate during avelus. Now, the fact that he expressed himself in this harsh manner, attributing avelus to Shmuel, it took effect. Havoi Kishgoga hayotze sheyotze milfnei hashalat. It was like a decree issued by a shalat, by a ruler, erroneously. But it had an effect. The fact that he said something like that. If it would have happened to you, what would you have done? Shmuel indeed experienced Avelis as a result of this expression. Al Pinchas Achva. Now it was Pinchas' brother's turn. Lemishal Tameh came in to console Shmuel. Shmuel responded harshly. Shaklinu Latufre. Shmuel took his own nails that he had sheared off. Chavtinu Lapen, he threw it against him towards his brother Pinchas. Amar, he tells him in exasperation, Amar Lei. Leslach bris crucilis vasaim. Don't you know that is a bris attributed to one's lips, meaning lips, words, verbal expressions have effect, have power. They're guaranteed to have some sort of effect, like a bris, a bond. It's a guaranteed result. How do we know this concept? That words have an effect. By the Akedas Yitzchak, Avram turns to his helpers, to Eliezer, to Yishmael. He says, wait around. Wait with a donkey. And myself with Yitzchak. We will go. And then he added, V'no shuva. V'nishtach v'v'no shuva. We're going to return. The fact is, he indicated that he's going to return with Yitzchak together, alive. And that's what happened. It turns out that they indeed both returned. So we see that words have effect. And Farshim say, because what sets a person higher than an animal? That's a more spiritual element, ruchniistic, a koyach within a person, and therefore that has an effect. Bris crucialis vasaim. One has to be careful with what he says. Taisus brings the Gemara and brachas. So a person is meant to guard his words carefully. They have effect. The Gemara figured that when we say there's a heta to trim nails during Avelos, the yadin only applies to one's hands, fingernails. The regular, but not toenails. Rashi says because fingernails are more mos, more visible, but not when it comes to reglayim. No. I personally heard from Shmuel himself, loishna the yad, loishna the regel, irrelevant of whether it's fingernails or toenails, one may trim them during Avelos. Rav added, one can't use a nail clipper. This is Rav's shita, that in order to be matir, perhaps even during Avelos, during MOED, one has to be careful to be meshana, derech shinoi, in keeping with the spirit of Yom Tov. But Shmuel apparently holds, there were 12 points this out, Shmuel apparently doesn't differentiate any sort of trimming as mutter. Amar Rav Shaman bar Abba hava ke'imna, kamei Rav Yechanan, b'mei b'drasha. I was present in front of Rabbi Yechanan in the base medrash, b'chodesh shel MOED. V'shaklinu l'tufra b'shina, I noticed that he trimmed his nails using his teeth. V'zarkinu, and he tossed them aside. Shemamina tlas, we learn three things from this story. Shemamina mutter litzil tzipernayim b'chodesh shel MOED. Number one, trimming nails on chol MOED is mutter. Number two, u'shmamina ein ba mishumiyas. Removing them in this manner, using one's teeth, does not constitute mius, which would not allow him to do it. Certainly not in public. Apparently it's okay. U'shmamina. Number three, we learn mutter lezark, and one can just toss them aside without really disposing of them properly. Eini, is that so? Vatani, we learned in a brayso, shloisha devarim. Number of Tzipor 9, there are three methods of disposing nails. Hakrevran tzaddik, one buries them out of reach, out of sight, he's a tzaddik. Sarfan, if one actually burns them, goes a step further, chassid. Chassid is greater than a tzaddik. Chasidus means lefnim mishur sadin, lashon of chesed, going the extra mile. And Taisus Nida says, why is a sarfan chassid? He says because when a person actually burns his nails, he's endangering himself. He brings there's a concept that a person could be affected by actually burning his nails. And the fact is that this fellow is willing to sacrifice his own safety. He's willing to be Meiser Nefesh so that his nails are totally out of sight, out of reach. It doesn't suffice with just burying them where they might be accessed. He burns them, he's a chassid. Number 3, Zarkan Rasha. One just tosses them aside without care. He's a Rasha. The time of my, what's wrong with that? Shema Tavar Alein Isho Bor. Perhaps an expectant woman will walk over them. V'tapel Shul Miscarry. Some sort of skula in a negative way that an Ishu Bor could be affected by nails. So, how does Rabbi Yechon just toss them aside? Isha be midrash le'shchicha. It's a beis medrash. Isha is not present in the beis medrash. There's no chashash there. V'chitema, perhaps you'll be concerned that zumnin de mechanshelu. Perhaps they'll be swept up. V'shadu la'broi, and they'll be tossed outside the beis medrash where the Isha is to be found. Why is there no concern of that? Kivin the ishte. Well, once they were taken out of the makim upon which they were dropped, they no longer have that detrimental kayach, and therefore there's no concern. Amar b'dam Rav, zug ba mechamson. Lifnei Rabbi, there were a pair of chachamim who came from the town of Chamson to Rabbi to ask him a shayla. That's one version of what happened. Rabbi Yehuda is relating this in the name of Rav. Umazutra masni. Mazutra had a brisa, so it wasn't Rav, it was a brisa with the same story. Zug ba mechamson. Lifnei Rabbi, Zug arrived from Chamson to ask Rabbi a shayla. And what did they ask him? Ubikshu mimenu tzipurnayim. They wanted to know whether it's permitted to trim nails in the time of Avelus. That's what Rashi learns. V'hiter lahem, and he allowed it. V'im bikshu mimenu safa. Now, according to the first version, it was Rabbi Yehuda, the name of Rav. So Rav was relating. Look, I noticed on Rebbe's by his facial expression that if they would have asked him further, what about trimming one's safa, one's mustache, in the state of Avelus, so that it doesn't interfere with his eating? He would have allowed that as well. Rashi on top learns there's another element of the Isser Bal Tashchus Bal Pas Zakum, one may not shave his beard off with a razor, so Chiddush was it doesn't apply to the mustache area. Ushmul Amar, Af Bikshu Mimenu Safa V'hitalem. Actually, they did ask regarding the mustache, and he was matter. Amar Vito Safra, that was his name. Mishmei the Rav or the Rav Papa. To what extent may one trim his beard in this state of Avelus? Safa misafas lazavas, from corner to corner, from one side of the mouth to the other, so that it doesn't interfere with the achila v'shtia. Amar Rab Ami u'besafa ma'kevas, of course, we're speaking that it interferes with his eating. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak lididi, by me, where I'm extra sensitive, I'm an istinus, the entire mustache needs to be shaved. It feels to me like it's interfering with the food. Any sort of hair around the mustache area, I need to shave off, and I'm allowed to do so. So it's all relative to one's tolerance level. V'amar avito safra, another statement from the same under Amar, Mishmei de Rav Papa, Parei shahaya b'mei Moshe. The Pharaoh, in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, so Pharaoh is a general term like an emperor. All the pharaohs were called Pharaoh. The Parei in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, he had a strange appearance. Hu Amma, he was merely an Amma, tall. V'ziknei Amma, his beard was an Amma long. Uparmash takoi Amma v'zeres, and his Ever HaZacha was actually longer, an Amma and a half, which is a very degrading presentation. So it wasn't due to his imposing or charismatic posture that he ruled the nation. Actually, the reverse. He didn't look too imposing and too prominent, but Hashem did this purposely. L'kayim mashenemar, in fulfillment of the pasuk, was shval anoshim yakim aleo. This is by Babel, actually. Nebuchadnezzar was also a pretty interesting-looking fellow. According to one shot in the Medrash, he was merely a tefach high. So, the point here is that Hashem is telling us the non-Jewish leaders who torment Klal Yisrael don't get their power from their character or from their charisma, from their imposing presentation. Rather, Hashem places them in charge with a specific mission in mind. This para in time of Moshe Ambugushi Hoya, according to one pshat, he was a fellow involved in witchcraft. He would go out to the Nile and engage himself in Kishuv. Typically, we don't do laundry on Chol HaMoed to ensure that we come in all prepared and dignified, but in some cases, where the situation doesn't allow for washing, he arrived from out of town, etc., washing is permitted. I'll give you another example. If one merely has just one shirt to his name, he can rinse on Chol HaMoed because this fellow too is an Einus. his shirt only lasts him so many days, and inevitably he needs to do rinsing on Chol HaMoed as well. Most of every year we have a kasha from the Mishnah where we don't mention this fellow in that list. The following fellows can do kibbutz on moed. Only these individuals who are involved in oinus. But a fellow who only owns one shirt, it's not included. Perhaps it's not really a pronounced circumstance. It's not a fellow who came out of jail. It's not known to all. We're not mechalek. We don't give him this allowance. He responded to him like this: I'll answer you your kash. Mas nissen. Our Mishnah is speaking about ordinary individuals. They have a whole wardrobe. He has two begadim, but they both happen to be dirty. So in this case, typically you can't do laundry in Chol HaMoed. You should have done it before, but if you were an anus, circumstances did not allow for laundering Erev Yom Tov. You came from the Dina Sayam, you came out of jail. In this case, we have an exemption for your case. But the Mishnah is not speaking about a case where a person merely owns one shirt. It's not your typical case. In this case, this on its own would allow laundering on Chol HaMoed in accordance with Rabbi Yechanan's sheet. Shalach Rav Yitzchak bar Yaakov bar Giyuri mishmei Rabbi Yechanan. He presented another halacha in the name of the same Rabbi Yechanan. Here there's another example, another exception to the rule. Klei pishtan, linen begadim, made from flax. It appears that they used to have that as undergarments. In fact, we had this back in Mesachas Tanis as well. Klei pishtan, there's special allowances when it comes to klei pishtan. Mutar lechamson b'chodesh HaMoed. They can be laundered in Chol HaMoed, according to the Rashi Ksav Biad, because they're getting soiled constantly, right? One's undergarments are getting soiled on a regular basis, and therefore there was never restrictions imposed on undergarments, on klei pishtan. The whole point is come prepared. In this case, it's inevitable. They're going to get soiled on a regular basis, therefore one can wash them on Chol HaMoed. Masav Rava, a kasha similar to the one before. Take a look at the Mishnah, which gives us some examples of heter. Hand towels, which are constantly soiled. Safarim, has two pshatim, either saparim, the barbers, who engage in giving haircuts to those individuals who may take haircuts, or sfarim, the mantles around sfarim, which are getting dirty. So all these can be rinsed on Chol HaMoed. Only these types, these are allowed, but klei pishtan loy, but not linen begadim. So there's no heter for that. Abaye responds, similar to the teretz before, Mas nisin afilu the sharmini. The Mishnah is speaking about ordinary fibers, ordinary materials, ordinary begadim. Typically, there's no allowance for that except for Abba Medina Sayam, or except in these cases of these towels. But linen begadim, klei pishtan, that's in a class on its own. That's mutter regardless, because they get constantly soiled. The Rashi on top says, there's very little tircha involved. In any case, there's a special heter there. But that's not the topic of discussion in our Mishnah, so you can't ask a kasha from our Mishnah. Why did Mishnah mention it? We're not discussing klei pishtan. In support of this halacha, Amar bar Hedya, I noticed around the Yam Shel Tveri, the Yam Kineres, the Mapkila Mishichli, they go and they pull out loads, buckets. Mishichli de Manikitna, buckets full of linen begadim. They were rinsing their begadim, made from pishtan Chol HaMoed, in accordance with Rabbi Yehuda. Abaye asks Abaye, it's not a riot. Man leimalon the beratzon chacham avdi. Who's to say that they were doing it with the chachamim's consent? The chacham were pleased with what they were doing. Perhaps chacham were displeased what they were doing. You can't bring a riot from what people were doing. Continues the Mishnah. Although typically we don't do malacha, we don't do any writing on moed. The following documents may be written even during moed. Says Taisus, Nira dechol hani have a davar avid. In all these cases, there's an element of davar avid. Panya masan noisin, or edim, or bezin, or yechum dinasayam. In all these cases, perhaps one of the parties involved in this procedure will either pass away, leave town. Therefore, we have to chaparayin and write the star during Chol HaMoed. It constitutes davar ha'avid, and we know davar ha'avid may be done in Chol HaMoed. Says the Mishnah, Kiddushay Nashim, a document with which you are mekadesh isha, v'gitin, a divorce document, v'shevarna, a receipt that the loive will give the lender, the yataki, A will, matana, a document delineating a gift. Upruzbulin, that's what the lender would write at the end of Shemitah so that his loan doesn't expire. Igrois shum, an appraisal document issued by Bezdin. Vigrois mazon, a document in which a person commits to support his wife's children. Shtari chalitza mi'unin, a shtar of chalitza, of miun, where a ketana will just back away from her husband. The Bezdin writes a shtar miun. Ushtari beirurin. According to Rashi, it means Bezdin allocated properties of a Yerusha. You get this part, you get that part. Gzeira is Bezdin, any type of decree issued by Bezdin. Be'igur shel rishus. According to the Rashi, it means tzivui v'kim shel shiton, some sort of legal document, a new law enacted by the government. So all these things are time related. Rashi Taisus explained. You can't procrastinate, lest the authorities or the Bezdin or the people involved leave town or die, in which case you lose that opportunity, so you can go write them. He brings from the Yerushalmi, Igreis Rishus actually means Yerushalmi Mefarish Prisas Shalom, a friendly letter. So one can write a letter to a friend on Chol HaMoed. Says the Gemara, Omar Shmuel, Muta la'aris isha b'chodesh shel moed. Although one may not marry on Chol HaMoed, we had this back in Avches, ein ma'arvin simcha with simcha, but engagement, erusin, which is of course more than today's engagement. Erusin actually involved being mekadesh, doing the kinyan, but it's just phase one, it's kiddushin. Typically you don't do kinyanim on Chol HaMoed, but isha, muta la'aris isha b'chodesh shel moed. Why? It's a davar of it. Why is it a davar of it? Shem kadmenu acha, perhaps he's going to lose that opportunity. Perhaps somebody else will beat him to it. Somebody else will take him before him. Perhaps we can prove Shmuel's halacha from a Mishnah. The Mishnah we just learned. The following documents may be written on Chol HaMoed, Kedushay Nashim, a star written to be Mekadesh and Isha. Maila v'shtarei kedushin mamish. Should not assume the Mishnah is speaking about a star kedushin with which you make the kinyan. That's a right to Shmuel that you can make a kinyan kedushin on. Wait, we're not speaking about that. Shtarei psikta. We're speaking about a star in which the agreements, the prenuptial agreements, are recorded, the dowries, etc. He described what goes on before a wedding. So both parties sit down, both families sit down. How much are you going to provide for your son's wedding? So much and so much, $1 million. What about you, dear father of the Kala? How much are you going to provide for your daughter's wedding? Another $1 million. Okay, so they get up and they do the Kiddushin, they carry out the Kiddushin. So even though they didn't actually make a kinyan regarding their commitments, their commitments take hold, take effect. These are things, words, verbal agreements, verbal discussions which become solidified and enacted just by mere verbal expression. That's a chiddush, that even though there was no kinyan directly on the dowry discussion, but once the kiddushin takes hold, their commitments take hold as well. In any case, that's perhaps the kiddushin noshim described in the Mishnah, the shtar in which they recorded their discussions regarding the dowry agreements, but perhaps the actual kinyan kedusha cannot be done on Chol HaMoed. Leima Mesayah, perhaps we'll have a right to Shmuel from another brayse. Ein noisin nashim b'moed. One may actually marry on moed. Loi psulos v'loi almonos v'loi miyabin. Even yibum can't be done with pesha simcha. All these experiences provide simcha which get in the way of simchas yom tov. Says the Gemara, but we have a diuk. Marriage is also. Hala aris shari. Apparently, erusin, engagement is mutter, like Shmuel. Loi miboye ka'amar. No. Perhaps the Brisa is using a term of loy miboye, a method of needless to say. Loy miboye la'aris, the loy covered mitzvah. Needless to say that you can't engage because that's not really a fulfillment of the mitzvah of puravu, just engagement. That certainly can't be done on Chol HaMoed. There's no need to discuss that. That's certainly off the table. Ela afilo lisa nami. But even to marry, that's a chiddush. Even that cannot be done. Perhaps I would think the ka'avad mitzvah, since he's engaged in a mitzvah, he's engaged in puravu, that should be mutter. No. Comes the Bryce and says, so it's also because it interferes with Yom Tov, but in any case we have no raya from here to Shmuel. Tashma, here comes a raya. The son of the Shmuel, they had a Bryce which they taught in the Beis Medrash of Shmuel, which says, Ma'arsin, one may engage on Moed Avaloi Koisim, but not actually marry. But that interferes with the Yom Tov. So engagement, that's not such a great simcha. In fact, Ve'ein Oisin Sudas Erusin. Engagement is mutter, but the what they call the vart, the engagement party, that's not to be done on Moed because that's a simcha which interferes. Likewise, you don't even do Yibum on Moed because this simcha generated by this event will interfere with Yom Tishma. If we have a clear right to Shmuel, engagement on Moed is mutter. Why? Shema yikadmenu acha. Perhaps somebody else will beat him to it. It's a davar of it. Says the Gemara, is that a real concern? Is that a mature concern? Is that consistent with the Torah view of things? Umi amar Shmuel, Shema yikadmenu acha. Is there a concern that somebody else might grab his shidduch? Here comes Shmuel himself and says, B'chol yom v'yom, on a daily basis. And some have the Gerasa based on the Gemara and cited that base, Arboim yom, Kodim Yitziras Havlat, 40 days before even the fetus is formed. It's all prepared in advance. So perhaps that's what the Gemara means. During those 40 days, on a daily basis, B'chol yom v'yom, there's a basko that calls out from Shemaim, Yoitzis v'ymeres, Bas Pliny, Reuben's daughter. She's destined for Shimon. Sada plenty, that field, that parnasa is destined for Shimon. And Farshim explain, why does the Gemara choose the term bas pleni lepleni instead of just plenis lepleni? 3 terutzim are given. Number 1, because a man's daughter relates to him. He gets her kedushin, right? If he gets some money for the kedushin that goes to the father, it's his mitzvah to be Mikadash's daughter. So it's bas pleni. Another pshat, some of Farshim say, because the baskel pertains to the zachar, right? Bas pleni is lepleni, and as soon as the zachar starts coming about, as soon as his yitzira begins, the baskel starts calling out, even if the nekeva is not yet in existence. So that's why the Chazal picked the lashon bas pleni lepleni. The point is, the chassan is already around, so even if the kal is not here yet, his shidduch is already predetermined. A third pshat is al pi Kabbalah, pi Zohar, that until her marriage, a girl relates to her father. She identifies with her father. Bas pleni lepleni. In any case, it's all predetermined and predestined. Nobody's grabbing away somebody's shidduch. So what does Shmuel mean? Why is it davar of it? Ella rather, says the Gemara, typically you're right. Typically, conventionally, one will get his bashert. Ella shemi yikadmenu acha barachmim. There's always a concern that perhaps somebody else will invoke so much power of rachmim through intense tefillah, he can change the mazel. Quite unusual, but it can happen, and therefore there's an element of davar ha'avid, grab her while you can. Kihad the Rava, as we find the following incident with Rava, Shamayla Gavar. He overheard this fellow who was desperate for a shidduch, and he says, the boy Rachmi, who was davening to Hashem, V'aman, he was saying as follows, Tis damen li planisa, please Hashem, I want planisa, this shidduch. Rava didn't like what he heard. Amarle, and he tells him, Lo tiboy rachmi achi. Don't be so specific. Ichazi lach, if she's meant for you. Lo azla minach. She will not walk away from you. You'll have her. But if she's not meant for you, kafar to Hashem, you're denying Hashem's judgment, so to speak, and His power. You're asking for something very specific, denoting that you don't have full trust in Hashem. That's not the proper attitude. Rather, daven that Hashem should provide you with what you need, your shidduch, your parnas, etc. And in general terms, that's how you meant to speak. As the Rambam in Seches Bracha says, only Hashem knows what's best for you. So this fellow is getting older. He's a shidduch. Daven to Hashem to open up the channels of bracha, reopen those clogged pipelines. Let the bracha flow forth. A shidduch, parnasa, atzlacha. Don't ask for anything specific. Hashem knows what's meant for you. By asking for something specific, you are showing that you're, so to speak, smarter than Hashem, kafarta b'Hashem. Basar hachi. Okay, so this fellow listened. Next time around, Rabbi hears him saying like this. Basar hachi shami. Overhears him saying the Ka'amar, Ay, ihu, leimus mikamo. So this fellow was davening to Hashem like this. Either him, meaning himself, ihu leimus mikamo. He should die before the Isha. Because of the Isha. Meaning, I don't want to see her married to somebody else. Okay, I agree, maybe she's not mine, but I want to die before her. I want to die in her presence, before she marries somebody else. Or there's a choice. Hashem, you have a choice. Either I die before her, or she dies before I do. Okay, before... So I don't see her married to somebody else. So bottom line is, I don't want to... experience that distressing feeling of seeing her married to somebody else. Either I die or she dies. Amar le, so Rabbi responded again, Lava minalach, didn't I already tell you, lo tiboyla de milsa hachi, lo tiboyla de milsa hachi. This is not the way you meant to daven. Your tefillah can have an effect, it can actually happen. Leave it alone. Don't be so pushy. Be erlich. Daven with trust, with amunah, with betachan. Hashem will give you what you need. Now, there are two ways to learn the Gemara. You see, Rashi on top says that he learns that you can't really change the shidduch. That's what Rava was telling him. Right? There were two stories, right? Initially, he was davening for a specific isha. Rava says, don't ask. If she's meant for you, fine. Otherwise, you're being kafir b'Hashem. So Rashi learns, what's the kfir b'Hashem? In the emunah, the trust. Because your tefillah won't have any effect. You can't change things. Right? It's not yours, it's not yours. So you're going to daven for something that's not going to come about, it can generate a lack of emunah in Hashem. Look, my tefillah is not working. That's how he learns the first Gemara. So from there we don't see that a person could change his shidduch. But in the second story, where this fellow was asking either he or she should die, that can happen. He's not changing a shidduch, he's just asking for somebody to die early. So that can happen. And that's how Rashi learns the Gemara. Shmuel says you can engage in Chol HaMoed. Shemi kadmena acha barachma means that maybe somebody out there will be davening that shall die. Right? Somebody has an agenda, some sort of program here and he's dying, she should die. That's the concern, and therefore it's considered davar of it. That's how Rashi learns. But other Rishonim learn differently. The Rebbe was telling him, don't daven for this specific isha because if she's meant for you, good, gevaldik. There's no need to daven like that. Otherwise, kafarta b'Hashem, as we explained, you're indicating that you're wiser than Hashem. You're giving Hashem advice. Hashem doesn't need your specific advice. Just daven in a general term. It's an element. There's an element of lack of trust, of fear in Hashem when you're being so specific. So according to those Rishonim, in a chanami, you can. A person does have the ability through the power of tefillah to change a pre-existing, a predetermined shidduch. There is that power with intense tefillah. Not common. It's not routine to experience such a tefillah. But if it's a truly intense, powerful tefillah, can change matters as well. So many ask whether a person can lose its bar sherta. So basically, it's machayis rishonim. According to Rashi by Yosef, it's questionable who wrote this Rashi, but if it's whatever it is, this pirush on the side that we have does not hold of that. You cannot actually change it even through tefillah. But the other rishonim, I think Rashi and Ksavya, the Ran learns, other rishonim learn, there is such an option, but it's very uncommon, very unlikely. It only can happen through intense rachmim, through intense tefillah, which can actually change one's mazel. A pretty unusual, unlikely event, but it's still enough of a chashash to allow eruzin achol shemoed. It's very similar to Tosfos and Shabbos of Kufim Vav. The Gemara speaks about the person born on a Sunday and a Monday, and the mazalas that affect a person's life. And Tosfos asks, "What do you mean? Ein mazel Yisrael?" The Gemara says, "Ein mazel Yisrael." And Tosfos asks, "What do you mean?" The Gemara MOED KATAN speaks about bonei chaye u'mezoinei, children, length of life and parnasa are totally in mazel. How does that work with the Gemara? The Ein mazel Yisrael. So Tosfos says, sure, there's the conventional system, right? Mazel was ingrained in the Gashmistic system of the world, where Hashem arranges the world. It's all pi mazel, but Yisrael have the ability to transcend mazel, to rise above mazel through tefillah, through schus. Here we have another element, changing the zivuk, but that it would seem that's even higher. It's even more of a difficult task than just transcending plain mazel. The fact is that the Pirush in the Gemara, the Rashi, doesn't even hold to that. So apparently that's even more difficult to do. But it can happen. Tefillah, the koich of tefillah can work wonders, can really change matters. In any case, that's the reason for Shmuel's halach. Once we're on the topic of shidduchim, Amar Rav, Meshum Rabbi Reuven ben Itzrabili, Minat Torah, we find find sources from all over Torah and Ksuvim to this concept that what may Hashem ishal ish, a shidduch, a zivuk, one's basherter is predetermined by Hashem Himself. Min Torah, what do we find in the Torah? Chsiv, Vayan Lovin Ubsur, Vayomer Hashem Yatzad Davar. Eliezer was looking for a shidduch for Yitzchak. Everybody responded in unison. Hashem Yatzad Davar. It's been predetermined by Hashem way back when. This is the neshama. These are two halves of the neshama. We can't We can't oppose it. Where's the source min hanavim? The chsiv, when Shimshon HaGibor was seeking an isha from the Plishtim, it says v'av v'ima lo yadu kimi Hashem he. Even if his parents were not aware of the fact that it was planned from Hashem. What do we have a source min haksuvim? The chsiv bayis v'hoy nachlas avis. One's home, one's wealth can be inherited by. It can be gotten just by inheritance. A father has a schos, it carries over, the property carries over to the children. But a wife, that's personal. It's part of his neshama. Ume Hashem isha maskelas, an understanding woman comes directly from Hashem. The Chazon Ish writes that in many ways nowadays we don't really experience the true revelation of Hashem's hashgacha pratis. There's lots of hester going on, but in one area, says the Chazon Ish, we experience firsthand hashgacha pratis and open, revealed hanaga from Hashem. He says that's in the inyan of shidduchim, and you ask many who are involved in shidduchim, many can attest to this Chazon Ish, that they've seen the Yad of Hashem in a very revealed and open manner. And the reason is because of our Gemara. Ma'ashem isha le'ish, ma'ashem yatsa davar. This is one thing which is still directly from Hashem without any concealment. Continues the Gemara. V'amarav mishum Rabbi Reuven ben Itzt Rubili v'amila some say masnisatani. We learned in a brayso. Amar Rabbi Reuven ben Itzt Rubili ein adam nechshel b'davar. It cannot happen that a person should be suspected of an offense if he's really free of this offense. No connection to it. Elam kain asay. Chashad would only apply to a person who actually committed this offense. Either he committed, but if he didn't actually commit it, kulay entirely asam miktsasa. Maybe part of it he did. He has some connection to it. Even if he didn't actually do part of it, so he contemplated doing it. So it's relevant to him, at least in some realm. Even if he didn't actually think about it, he saw others doing it and he didn't protest, he was pleased with what they did. So as long as there's some sort of connection to this thing, Mashal says, Hashem arranges that somebody will notice something within this person that connects to this concept and will be choshed him. Otherwise, if he's truly free and pure, no connection to this inyan, there's no way that this concept will be attributed to him. Most of Rabbi Yaakov have a kasha. Pasuk says, "V'yechapu Yisrael dvarim asher loikein al Hashem loikeim." When it came to Hashem, Yisrael just tossed things on Hashem. Hashem left the land, etc. Things that have no basis, no grounding whatsoever. How can that be? You're telling me that chashad only applies when there's some sort of grounds for it. They were doing it willingly. Lahachis, to make Hashem upset, chas v'shalom, but they knew good and well that there was no basis for it whatsoever. Toshma, another kasha, ve'ikanu l'Moshe v'machne la'aron k'dish Hashem. What does this mean? Says Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Amar, melamed shekol echad kinei li'ishta mi-Moshe. Ve'ikanu means they warned their wives, don't hang around with Moshe Rabbeinu. He's liable to engage in this inappropriate behavior. How can they suspect Moshe Rabbeinu of this type of thing? Moshe Rabbeinu is at Tzaddik Yisrael. The same terror says the Gemara, Hasam Hashem Sina de Avad. It was an expression of dislike towards Moshe Rabbeinu. They knew full and well that he's totally free of this inyan. Toshma, here's another right. Rabbi Yosi. Yehichelki. I wish I would have a chelik. I would be counted amongst those. Imisha cheshtin oise bedavar ve'enboy. I'll be suspected of doing wrong, and I'm totally free of the concept. And the Mepharshim say it's a kapara. I want to experience that tsar. Be choshed me, and really I'm free of it. But Papa, it happened to me personally. They suspect me of something wrong, and there was no grounds or basis for it. It's pretty clear that chashad can apply even when there's no basis for it. Like Kasha, the answer is like this: it depends what type of rumor. If it's a lasting rumor, a sustained rumor, then apparently there's some grounds to it. But if it's just a fleeting up and down rumor, it means nothing. Habakal the pasuk. If it's a koil, a rumor that quiets down, then that can happen even when a person is really not guilty of it. It's just for kapara. But in a coil that sustains itself, it just drags on and on, Hashem only arranged it because really, the person is in some way guilty of this offense. Now, how do we define what's considered a sustained coil, an unsustained coil? What do we mean when we speak about a short-lived rumor? How long does it have to be circulating for? Amar Abaya, Amrli Aim, my caretaker, my adopted mother told me, Dumi de Mosa, those that are suspected in town, their rumors spread for Yoimo Pag. That's a significant, substantial time. And if the rumor is spreading for that long, apparently there's something to it. Provided it doesn't quiet down in the middle. So it hadn't really quieted down within that day and a half. It was a consistent rumor for a day and a half. I will pasuk beni beni, but if it quieted down in the middle somewhat, less lamba, then we're not going to reckon with that rumor. Even if it stopped in the middle, and then we say it doesn't carry weight, and that's only if it didn't quiet down because of yira, there's somebody out there that ordered it, stopped. Element of fear was inserted, so it wasn't so it was a natural. It subsided naturally. But if it subsided unnaturally due to fear or authority, then that's not much of an indication. We treat it as though it's a sustained rumor. We don't apply this leniency to it. We say that a short-lived rumor doesn't carry weight. That's only hadar navat. Navat means to grow. It didn't regrow. It didn't resurface with the same intensity. Aval hadar navat. But if it came back in full force, that's a bad sign. We treat it like a proper rumor. This whole concept that a rumor is indicative of something wrong, that's only if he doesn't have enemies in town. If he has enemies, of course we know who spread the rumor. They certainly generated the rumor, and it has absolutely no value. Okay, let's do a quick chazara. We started with cutting nails. Bimei Evel and Chelamoyed Shmuel Paskins in both cases Lakula. According to a Rav, it should be done b'shinoi, and of course this applies to tzipurnaim of yad and regla as well. Regarding trimming one's mustache, once again that's mutter. In the case where it's ma'akev da'achila, creates mius, that is mutter as well. We learned about taking care of disposing the tzipurnaim properly in a way that's not going to harm people. The ishu bara, we learned about the power of lips. Bris crucials for one's expressions carry weight. We learned about two more cases where one may do laundry in chalamayid. He only has one shirt to his name, or a klei pishta on the undergarments, which can be laundered as well. Writing chalamayid should not be done except in the davar of its situation. Shmuel says, "Be mekadesh isha's mutter as well. Shemei kadmeno achar through tefillah. Ezibug is min hashamayim." And a chashad only applies when it's indicative of something wrong with the person, provided it's a proper rumor, a sustained rumor. Otherwise, don't reckon with it. All the best to you and much hatzlacha.